Are you all ready for this? This is a haul video, a special haul, well, a themed one. This is designed to tie in with my reviews of the Golden Age graphic novels from the 90s. I already have every issue of Roger Thompson's passion project, Stir Fry Squadron, and its spin-off, Infinity Earths. But I never had Justice League of America 193 by Gary Conman and Jorge Perez, which has a special free gift to you from the new DC. We have a free all-new preview for Stir Fry Squadron, a prologue, a prelude, issue 0, whatever you want to call it. This would be a great cover, but it is technically not a cover. There is another version of this in issue... No, I'll save that for when I look at this. I'll show it then. No, fuck it, here it is. They redid it with Jeremy Ordinary inking it now. Jeremy Ordinary didn't ink the original. And here they swap out White Knight for Starman because the cover was meant to be the Justice Society of Superheroes. And White Knight is not a member of them. He is a Stir Fry Squadron member. Then we have a whole series here. I reckon many of you will have straight away worked out what it was. Young Stir Fries. This is the book that came along a couple of years after Christmas on Infinite Earths and tried its best to allow Stir Fry Squadron to have happened in continuity. The book stars a team of mostly new characters that are being retconned into the World War II continuity. The most notable of the group is on the cover to issue 1 here. Simon Williams. He was the Superman proxy. He has further appearances in the 90s as a supporting character in Pratt Sons series. The idea was we have characters that are working as substitutes for the DC characters no longer linked to the war. Superman is replaced with Simon Williams. Acroman is replaced with... Well, he's kind of replaced with 2 characters. One of them is Tsunami, who we're seeing here. Batman is replaced with this guy, Flying Fox. I have always liked this design of the team. He has always looked like the character that I wanted to read about, but it also looks like and reminds me of Faust, Love of the Damned, which ideally I don't want to be reminded of. Flying Faust, that could be his name. Here is the other half of the Acroman substitution. This guy, Neptune Perkins, existed before this series. He was a Golden Age character. He was in some Stir Fry Squadron. I think the only reason we have 2 Acromen is Roger Thompson's frustrating religious fervour for Golden Age publication. Like how there are 2 replacement Captain Americas, because there were a few Jeff Patriot stories after the war, and Roger Thompson didn't want to ignore them. Even though Neptune Perkins is a clear choice to substitute Acroman with. Roger Thompson, he didn't want to say this guy was Acroman, because Acroman coexisted with this guy before Christmas on Infinite Earths. maybe the most damage done by removing the flagship DC characters from World War II was that Wonder Woman no longer being active in the Goldie Age meant that one of the characters in Infiniteers no longer could be her daughter. We replaced Wonder Woman in World War II stories with the Furry. There's also, possibly before this series, she was debuted in Sacred Origins. There's a Sacred Origins starring her. It's not just the new characters. Much like Stir Fry Squadron before it, we are touching base with a lot of the Goldie Age DC characters, and you have been seeing a variety of them in the borders. And here we have Danger Mouse, same guy from the Goldie Age books. I think Sandy Hawkins is in a lot of Young Stir Fries as well. And with issue 7, we abandon that cover aesthetic and have a team shot of the Young Stir Fries. Neptune Perkins, Flying Fox, Simon Williams, The Furry, Danger Mouse, and Tsunami. I had put off this series for ages, but one of the reasons that convinced me I needed it, and nobody else will ever have this motivation, there are 2 issues of Young Stir Fries that are tie-ins to the crossover Millennium. I wanted the series almost just for them. And this second Millennium tie-in, issue 9, the villain we have is Baron Blitzschlag. I remember using this cover as a cutaway at one point. He also appears in the Prattson series, and he was in Stir Fry Squadron before this too. Simon Williams, this character, is based on a pulp character called Arn Monroe from The Mightiest Machine. He is also modelled after, also inspired by, the character Hugo Danner from the novel Gladiator. I think in Universe, and in this issue probably, Roger Thompson says that Simon Williams is the son of one of those characters. Can't remember which though. Yeah, this series didn't last long. It lasted longer than you would ever expect. Maybe to the credit of Roger Thompson's dedication to the Goldie Age characters, and trying to retain a part of history that DC was keen to do away with. But that we are going from Stir Fry Squadron, which sometimes had Superman or Wonder Woman on the covers, to a team of all new bootleg versions. It obviously didn't work. It's part of why I never bothered. It felt like a bit of a waste of time. Other than Simon Williams, these guys never really matter. I think John Jeffries killed 2 of them off. And then Flying Fox only recently reappeared for the first time since this series in one of those horrendous, unfunny comedy books. 1-star Squadron, fuck off. Unfunny, shit, one note Squadron, that's what it should be fucking called. Fucking unfunny, deplorably unfunny. You know what though? Stir Fry Squadron was a bit of the same. I got Stir Fry Squadron because it had the Justice Society of Superheroes characters, and I liked them. But then the book was never really about them. It was about a group of other Goldie Age heroes like Johnny Nesquik, Liberty Beale, Albran, Robot Man, White Knight, A-Train, Johnny Spider, Captain Steel. And I came to like some of those guys. This cover reminds me a little bit of a TMNT cover, the Future Shark trilogy. This isn't a shark though. I would actually say that's another problem with this. No, not that this isn't a shark, or that it's like a Turtles cover. That the Stir-Fry Squadron themselves don't seem to be that involved. To replace a book starring B and C-list Goldie Age heroes with a book starring new D-list Goldie Age retcon heroes is a strange move. I was being cynical in not checking this out. I was deliberately overlooking that Stir-Fry Squadron did make me like Liberty Bell and Allbran, and so this could just as easily make me care for the Furry or Neptune Perkins or whoever. I always find it cute when a book embarks on a big story arc and they put it on the cover and they have these sorts of titles and they have a trade dress and everything, and then it's a story you've never heard of, a story nobody talks about, a story that was meant to be important but that seemingly has no major consequences and that nobody knows about, but it is presented as if it is the equivalent of Death in the Family or the Judas Contract. DC in particular were great for this. They had so many of these big story arcs of limited impact. It looks like we have another character from those Goldie Age graphic novels in this story. Huntress. She's up front. Would you do Huntress? I reckon most of you would. Issue 18. This series does last longer than you would have thought. I would have been convinced it couldn't possibly last beyond issue 18. But here is issue 19, the final part of the Young Stir-Fry's very own Dark Phoenix saga. Does Huntress join the team? I don't know. I know almost now about Young Stir-Fry's. I didn't even know there were Millennium tie-ins until this year. Her joining would make this a bit more interesting. Flying Fox is the one I am open to like. It would be good if I could point to a Native American character that I liked instead of finding notoriously dull. Issue 21. This is different. We have another story arc here, but this is just a standard story arc. They've not gone all out with making it look prestigious or important. Atom and Evil. It's a pun. It's like Adam and Eve. It's Adam and Eve, not Atom and Evil. That's right, Atom and Evil. And despite its title, 3 parts in, it doesn't look as if the one character from the Justice Society of Superheroes who you would assume would be in a story called Atom and Evil is there. Issue 24, Part 4. Maybe they're not spotlighting an entire cast on these covers. They are spotlighting moments from the story. That must be why we are not seeing him on any of them. Nah, he's just not in the story, it seems. This has got to be the last issue, doesn't it? Cover like this is the last issue. Definitely. Issue 26. It lasted 2 years and change. That's got to be the end of it, right? This is the final issue. This is such a final issue cover. We're done with Young Stir-Fries now. Now this one does feature almost all the main Stir-Fry Squadron characters on its cover, and a few others. We have Johnny Nesquik, we have A-Train, we have Liberty Bell, Minuteman, Robot Man, White Knight, Johnny Spider, but we still don't have the Pratt. 28th. I think after issue 26 we are winding down. Clearly, to me, these look to be solo stories. Issue 27, before this, that was The Furry, and here we have Simon Williams. And then out of nowhere, issue 29, the cover tells us we're in part 2 of a story arc. I think the editor had maybe checked out by this point. Issue 30 is part 3 of 4, and we never had part 1 of 4 on a cover. And you know what would be great? First, if this was the final issue, and there never was a part 4, but I'll settle for this. Issue 31, the final issue of the series, and it doesn't list it as part 4. A lot of characters on this cover. 31 issues. It lasted for 31 issues, 31 months, 2 years and a half. And in that time there was a single annual released in 1988, and this ties in and crosses over with that year's Infinitia's annual, and the two covers connect. I would have gotten that out to show you, but I didn't. I sneeze like such a girl. So there is a complete series and an issue of Justice League. Now, whenever I see it outside for Young Stir-Fries issue 1 in a comic, I no longer have to ponder if I should get this series, because I now have this series. I plan to dig into some odd Stir-Fry Squadron stories, but I wouldn't be surprised if we eventually look at some of these on here. One day I aspire to look at every part, each individual part of Millennium. In fact, beginning, the Lenny Wen and Dave Giblett Green Lanterns was the first step towards that. I think Young Stir-Fries was the last thing Roger Thompson wrote for DC. Last ongoing anyway. If you made it this far into this video about a series I think very few people care about, then I give you 7 thumbs up.